Vortex made a splash updating their pistol red dots with the Defender lineup and has expanded it to include the enclosed emitter options with the Defender ST Enclosed. So did what I always do. I got the optic, didn't read the instructions, got trying to mount it on my Staccato C3.6 because I'm kind of digging that gun. Then tragedy struck.
Well, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, see, what had happened was I got my impact driver bits that I use in my fix-it sticks to mount optics. I use them every single time, and the glass is so close to the screws that the little flared out bit at the end of the bit I was using pressed into the glass too hard and broke the glass when I was torquing down the second screw. So we started the review by testing the Vortex warranty, which is good. So as with any optic review, it's kind of tough to do a proper one because like it's a failure testing. Like you want to use it like you'd use an optic until the point of failure, then report about it failing when and if it fails. Usually it's when most optics do eventually fail. But that's very difficult, expensive, and takes a long time to do. So this is about 1,000 rounds through this optic. How it compares with other optics kind of in its segment, let's get into it. The Vortex Defender Enclosed has a hill to climb because the HoloSun EPS is an excellent enclosed sight at roughly the same price that this is selling for, which is about, I think it was $350 last time I looked on Optics Planet. And while I can't sit here and say to you that the Defender ST Enclosed absolutely knocks it out of the park, it's the one to get over the HoloSun EPS, it actually does stand up very well in a head-to-head comparison against it. Let's talk through kind of some of the stuff that I think Vortex with the design didn't get quite right. First and foremost, as you've already seen, the screws for the optic are dangerously close to the window for the slide. Good news, if you actually spend the time and go through all the stuff, and it comes with quite a bit of stuff in the box, they give you a bit that is designed to get those screws tightened down that will fit with your fix-it sticks. They clear the optic body so it actually twists in no problem. Wish I had found that before I just got to mounting the optic, but here we are. And the other item is the turrets themselves. While the turrets are designed to be able to accept a 9mm case rim to adjust it, which is what you want. It's like the ultimate tool. They're all over the range. It's great. However, because of the enclosed emitter, that vertical pane right there makes it very difficult to adjust the up-down on top of the optic body. You can use it on the right-left, no problem, on the side of the body, but this one right here is basically adjusted by a tool. The last issue I ran into, and this is gun-specific, is that the Staccato HD series has this spacer plate type system, which makes the screws that end up needing to be used to mount the optic to the gun need to be long. And the screws that they provided that matched this mounting pattern weren't quite long enough, so I had to dig into my bin of parts and pull out 2 screws that would fit. So they give you almost everything in the box to mount the gun except for on this stupid gun that I'm holding it on. I'm just kidding, gun, I really like you. Now let's talk about the battery runtime. It's stated as being about 35,000 hours at a level 6, but a level 6 is not bright enough for outdoor conditions. So you're probably gonna carry it on like a level 8, which shortens the battery life to about 26,000 hours or so using math. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but I'm assuming straight line battery usage. Now, 26,000 hours is still a lot of time. It's roughly 1,500 days if you assume that you're only gonna have it on you for about 16 hours a day and the thing cuts itself off. And you guys are already starting to type comments like, it's got a solar panel on the top. Yes, but now they say in how this is marketed that the solar panel on the top is to extend the battery life up to 150,000 hours, and it's not a solar failsafe, which is what the HoloSun uses. Let's really think about that. So in order for the solar panel to work, it's got to be able to see the ambient lighting and be able to power the optic off of it. That's cool and all, but on a concealed carry optic, it's going to be riding inside your waistband holster probably 16 hours a day, plus or minus. So that solar panel isn't really extending anything except for when you go to the range. Now let's pretend you only shoot the same gun every time you go to the range. You go to the range for 2 hours a week. That means in a year, you're extending the battery life by approximately 52 hours. So in that 3-year period we talked about with the level 8 brightness setting, you have added 150 hours of battery time. So the solar panel, while it's cool, is probably more of a gimmick. And if your battery was dangerously low, you're not likely to go dead on the range when you need it, which is something, but that's dangerously close to what a solar failsafe would be from the guys at HoloSun. But it has me ask the question, they've got two versions of this sight. One of them is the Venom and one of them is this one. And I'm curious if the Venom isn't the one to get, because it's about 60 bucks cheaper, and you know, you're paying an extra 60 bucks for an extra 60 hours of battery life, plus or minus if you go to the range every week for 2 hours. In order to get 150,000 hours of battery life, like this is the only scenario I could think of where you would get it. If you work in an office building and you've got a gun stand on your desk right next to the window that you sit by, and you get your gun out and put it on the gun stand next to the window so it sits there and burns the sunlight and not the battery. And if you're driving home, you just throw it on the front seat of your car. I'm not saying do any of this, these are all terrible ideas. Then I have no doubt that this battery life could be extended by a ridiculous amount using the solar panel, because it doesn't have any sort of rechargeable battery that the solar panel is fueling. They can't really, you know, harvest the energy from the sun kind of like the SCS can. So it's kind of an interesting choice of limited usefulness. I think on like a duty gun that's riding in a holster, but even those have optic shrouds on them usually, the duty holsters do. So I don't know how much use the solar panel is going to get. And the last negative is that the turret adjustments have almost no feedback when you dial in those things. You can't really feel the clicks unless you're being very still and your arm is relaxed. They're very soft clicks. They're there, but they're not like super pronounced. Like the HoloSun is super stiff when you go to move it, so you know when you get that click dialed in. With this one, you have to kind of visually observe and pay very close attention to what you're feeling, because the clicks are very soft. And I know you're like, hey, this guy hates this optic. It's absolutely terrible. I promise I don't. I actually like it. I think I like it a little bit better than the HoloSun EPS, but I did want to put those negatives on the table. I do want to take this time to also thank Optics Planet, who sent this optic in. Optics Planet is doing something really cool that generally happens around Thanksgiving, and sometimes this can help you, but during this special time, if you use this, you might do a little bit better. Thanks again to Optics Planet for helping out. It's nice when a company like Optics Planet sends something in, because like there's absolutely no attachments to a company or anything like that. Try to tell you the truth every time I pick up a product, but at the same time, it's super easy when it is them sending stuff. So what do they do right to make up for all that belly aching? Well, the glass is in fact super clear and doesn't really have much tint. It's one of the better looking optics in the segment because it is so clear. The emitters are also pretty clean. There's not a lot of artifacts coming off the emitter to my astigmatic eyes. There are some, but there's not a ton. It's got a multi-reticle system, which is accessed by pressing both buttons at the same time. You can cycle through dot, circle, or circle dot, and it's a 3 MOA with a 32 MOA circle around it. It's an okay reticle, kind of like the circle dot if you've got to use a smaller dot optic. The battery door is on the side of the optic, and it's screwed down, which is actually my preferred design. It's kind of like the SIG Romeo X, how they mount the batteries on the side. I prefer that to the tray, because the little tray, the little screw that holds the tray, sometimes that can rattle loose and yeet itself out the side of your optic. If you run the HoloSun optics with the single screw securing them at the side, you might just put a dab of Loctite on it or witness mark it to make sure that it's not backing out on you. I've seen it happen a number of times on the range. The other thing I think the optic does right is it's on the Delta Point Pro footprint. And that's nice, because that is a slide width optic actually designed for pistols. We make do with RMR because it was the first red dot that was actually rugged, but it only directs mounts on guns with slides as thick as Glocks. A lot of other guns have thinner slides, and Delta Point Pro is one of the more narrow footprints, so it actually works really well on those kinds of pistols. So this sight could be direct milled potentially into like a 2011 slide, which is cool. So how big is this optic that you see here? So first thing I did was compare it to the Vortex Defender ST, and the glass is absolutely the same size. And I really like the Defender ST because I think it's got a great emitter, it's got great clarity on the glass, and it's reasonably priced. It's a really good kind of like value play. It's a great optic for what you get for what you pay. And this window, they're both stated as being 23 by 20 millimeter glass, which is, you know, a good size window. Comparing it to the HoloSun EPS, immediately the Vortex has the dimensions of the glass better. The EPS is roughly the same width, but it's only 16 millimeters tall versus the 20 on the Vortex. While the EPS does have a lower deck height, getting the glass closer to the top of the slide, the Vortex Defender ST is still probably good enough. But the EPS does come with a 6 MOA dot option, which is what I used, and I like that reticle better than the 332 that is on the Defender ST Enclosed. Both are excellent, honestly. Both are really, really good. There's some stuff I like better on the Holosun, but the Defender ST Enclosed is a little bit nicer. It has a better shooter's window than the EPS. So that's a big, hand on the scale factor when it comes to picking between the two. And just because I had it, I compared it to the Holosun EPS Carry, which is basically a narrower version and slightly shorter. The Carry would be used on like the skinny slide versions of guns like the 365. And it's just a smaller optic all around, but all the criticisms from the EPS apply to it as well.
The Trijicon RCR, on the other hand, is loved because it's made by Trijicon in America, but I think it's next to the Acro P2 and the dumbest optic in the segment. The housing on the RCR is massive, the mounting is weird, and the window is smaller with no spherical glass and weird tint, and it sells for twice the price, and it's on an RMR footprint, which, as we discussed, is less than ideal for a pistol application.
So far so good on the Defender ST Enclosed. I'm going to keep it on this gun, which is getting a lot of carry time, and keep shooting it. If something goes wrong, I'll let you know and make a follow-up video, but so far so good. I think the Defender ST has done a great job. I was so interested in this, I did go and get a Venom Enclosed, so I'll check that out as well and see whether it's the better buy relative to the Defender ST Enclosed. But as always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.